The fluorescent lights of the emergency room had a way of making everything look sicker than it was. But in Sarah Mitchell's case, they only illuminated a truth she'd been running from for months. Stage 4. Inoperable. 6 months, maybe less. The words had fallen from Dr. Peterson's mouth like stones into still water. And now Sarah sat in her Honda Civic in the hospital parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, unable to remember how to make her body move toward home. She was 42 years old. She had a mortgage she'd just refinanced, a garden she'd planned to replant in spring, and a daughter she'd never meet. That last thought hit hardest. Not the daughter she had, but the one she'd always imagined having someday. When the timing was right, when she'd saved enough, when she'd found the right person. Someday had run out of days. The autumn wind scattered leaves across her windshield, and Sarah watched them dance, thinking how strange it was that the world just kept moving. Somewhere someone was falling in love. Somewhere a baby was taking its first steps. Somewhere people were making plans for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for next summer's vacation. The machinery of life ground forward, indifferent to her stoppage. She drove home on autopilot, her small craftsman house in suburban Portland looking exactly as she'd left it that morning, when the biggest worry in her life had been whether the weird noise her washing machine made meant an expensive repair. She walked through the door, set her keys in the ceramic bowl her mother had made decades ago, and stood in her living room feeling like a stranger in her own life. The phone calls would have to be made. Her sister in Minneapolis, her father in the assisted living facility in Beaverton, the handful of friends who'd stuck around through her divorced, work-obsessed 30s. But not tonight. Tonight she needed to sit with this alone, to let it become real in the privacy of her own breaking heart. 3 days later, Sarah went back to work. She was a social worker at Morrison County Child Services, and the irony wasn't lost on her that she'd spent her entire adult life fighting for other people's futures while somehow forgetting to build her own. Her cubicle was decorated with drawings from the kids she'd helped place in safe homes, their crayon thank yous and marker hearts covering every surface. She traced her finger over one particular drawing, a stick figure labeled Miss Sarah, holding hands with a smaller stick figure labeled Me. It was from Emma, a 7-year-old she'd helped remove from a nightmare situation 2 years ago. "Sarah, you okay?" Her colleague Marcus appeared at her cubicle entrance, concern creasing his dark features. She realized she was crying. "I'm fine," she said automatically, then stopped herself. What did fine even mean anymore? Actually, no. "I'm not fine. Can we get coffee?" Over lukewarm lattes at the Starbucks across the street, she told him everything. Marcus listened the way he always did, with his whole body leaning in, his eyes never leaving hers. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "What do you want to do?" he finally asked. Not what was she going to do, but what did she want? The question opened something inside her. "I don't know," she admitted. "I keep thinking about all the things I'll never get to do. Never see the northern lights. Never learn to play piano like I always said I would. Never fall in love again." She laughed bitterly. "Never have a kid." "Then do them," Marcus said simply. "I have 6 months." "Then you better start now." That night, Sarah made a list. Not a bucket list exactly, more like an accounting of dreams deferred. Piano lessons, a trip to Iceland, volunteer at the animal shelter, learn to make her grandmother's pierogi from scratch. Small things, manageable things, things that felt achievable even as her body began its slow betrayal. But it was the last item on her list that wouldn't let her sleep. Foster a child. It was insane. Who would let a dying woman foster a child? What kind of person would do that to a kid? She crossed it off, wrote it again, crossed it off once more. By 3 a.m., exhausted and nauseated from the new medications, she left it there, uncrossed, a question mark bleeding into the margin. The next morning, she found herself in her supervisor's office. Janet. Jen had been with Child Services for 23 years and had seen everything. She listened to Sarah's request with an expression Sarah couldn't read. "You understand what you're asking?" Janet said finally. It wasn't a question. "I know it's crazy." "It's not crazy." Janet leaned back in her chair. "We have a girl. 12 years old. She's been through 6 placements in 8 months. Nobody wants her because she's difficult. She steals things. She doesn't talk. She breaks everything she touches. Janet paused. She's been told her whole life that she's temporary, that she doesn't get to stay. Maybe, Sarah. Maybe what she needs is someone who can be honest about how long they'll be there. No false promises. No pretending forever exists when it doesn't. Sarah's hands were shaking. When can I meet her? Destiny Martinez arrived on a Thursday, with everything she owned in a black garbage bag. She had dark eyes that looked 100 years, bold and kept her shoulders, hunched like she was ready to take a hit. She walked through Sarah's house with aggressive disinterest, shrugging at the bedroom Sarah had prepared, grunting at the welcome dinner on the table. "You can call me Sarah," Sarah said. "Or Miss Mitchell if you prefer. Whatever feels comfortable." Destiny said nothing, just dragged her garbage bag to the bedroom and shut the door. That night, Sarah heard crying through the walls. Soft, muffled, the sound of someone who'd learned to cry silently. She stood outside Destiny's door, hand raised to knock, then lowered it. Some pain needed privacy. The first week was a war of silences. Destiny moved through the house like a ghost, taking nothing, offering nothing. She went to school, came home, disappeared into her room. She ate the meals Sarah prepared but wouldn't sit at the table. She wore the same clothes every day, even though Sarah had bought her new ones. Then Sarah came home from a doctor's appointment to find her house destroyed. Every drawer dumped, every cushion torn, every picture frame smashed. And in the middle of the living room chaos, Destiny sat on the floor, crying openly now, her face twisted with rage and grief. "Go ahead," Destiny screamed. "Send me back! Tell them I'm bad! Tell them I ruin everything!" Sarah's whole body hurt. The cancer, yes, but also something deeper. She walked carefully, through the wreckage and sat down on the floor across from Destiny. "I'm dying," Sarah said quietly. Destiny's sobbing stuttered to a halt. "What?" "I have cancer. I have maybe 6 months. That's why I wanted you here, because I thought maybe we could be honest with each other. No pretending, no forever promises. Just real, just true, just however long we get." Destiny stared at her, comprehension and horror and something else dawning in those ancient eyes. "That's messed up." "Yeah," Sarah agreed. "It really is." And then, for reasons neither of them could have explained, they both started laughing. Not happy laughter, but the kind that erupts from absurdity, from the cosmic joke of it all. They laughed until they cried again, and when they finally stopped, something had shifted. "I'll help you clean up," Destiny said quietly. "I'd appreciate that." They worked together in silence, putting Sarah's house back together piece by piece. When they finished, Sarah made hot chocolate. And for the first time, Destiny sat at the kitchen table. "Why?" Destiny asked. "Why did you want me?" Sarah thought about it. "Because you deserve someone who sees you. Really sees you. Not the kid who's been hurt. Not the file on Janet's desk. You, Destiny, the real you. You don't even know me. Then teach me." The months that followed were imperfect and beautiful and hard. Sarah's body weakened steadily. But Destiny grew stronger, more solid, more present. She started talking, first in sentences, then in paragraphs, then in the long, wandering conversations they'd have late at night when Sarah couldn't sleep through the pain. Destiny learned that Sarah had always wanted to play piano, so she checked out beginner books from the library and they learned together, their clumsy duets filling the house with wrong notes and laughter. When Sarah was too sick to go to Iceland, Destiny downloaded documentaries about the Northern Lights, and they watched them together, wrapped in blankets on the couch. "What happens after?" Destiny asked one night 4 months in. "After you," Sarah took her hand. "You'll go to my sister's. Her name's Rachel. She has 2 kids your age, and she's already said she wants you." "She wants you, Destiny. Not as a favor to me. She wants you." "How do you know?" "Because she met you last month. Remember that weekend when we went to her house? She called me after and said, 'I already love her, and Rachel doesn't say things she doesn't mean.'" Destiny's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so mad at you." "I know. I'm so mad that you're leaving." "I know, sweetheart. I'm mad too. But I'm also—" Destiny struggled with the words. "I'm also glad I got to know you. Even like this. Even temporary. Is that okay?" Sarah pulled her close. "That's more than okay. That's everything." Sarah Mitchell died on a Tuesday morning in April, with her sister holding one hand and Destiny holding the other. The cherry trees outside her window were blooming, covering the ground in pink snow. Her last words were, "Thank you for staying," at the funeral. Destiny stood at the podium with a piece of paper shaking in her hands. "Sarah taught me that love doesn't have to be forever to be real," she read, her voice stronger than anyone expected. "She taught me that temporary doesn't mean meaningless. She saw me when I was invisible. She stayed when everyone else left. She chose me when I was unchosen. And even though I'm sad, even though I'm angry, even though I wish we had more time, I'm grateful. Because she showed me what it means to be somebody's person. And now I know what that feels like. I can be that for someone else someday." 5 years later, Destiny Martinez graduated high school with honors. She was going to college to study social work. In her valedictorian speech, she talked about a woman named Sarah who'd taught her that the measure of a life wasn't in its length, but in its love. That sometimes the bravest thing you could do was open your heart, even when you knew it was going to break. In the audience, Rachel cried, surrounded by her family, all of them knowing that Sarah's 6 months had created ripples that would move through decades, through generations, through all the lives that Destiny would touch in turn. Because that's what love does. It multiplies. It echoes. It becomes the story we tell ourselves about what it means to be human, about what it means to choose connection over safety, presence over protection, fierce temporary love over the illusion of forever. Sarah had understood in those final months what so many of us forget. We're all temporary. Every moment is borrowed. And the only thing that makes it bearable, the only thing that makes it beautiful, is how we love each other in the time we have. Her name was Sarah Mitchell, and in her dying, she taught a 12-year-old girl how to live. Not someday, not eventually. Now. In the messy, imperfect, precious present. With hands outstretched, with hearts wide open, with the courage to stay, even when staying hurts. That was her gift. And that was more than enough.